Donald Williams.
Good morning. Since I am a guest speaker and not the keynote speaker, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be short and sweet. I'm sure you will appreciate that. I tell you what, most of you have been to some of the Black El Paso Democrat banquets and the NAACP banquets. Thank you. And I'm usually announcing something on the master of ceremonies. It's a different story when you are one of the speakers. I'm nervous. I'd like to thank Judy for having the courage to bring me on as a speaker. I'd like to thank the dais, those members here, for being who they are and what they are to this community. A special note to our congressman. Most of you know he has received a lot of flack that he does not deserve. And normally my talks are a little bit lighthearted and humorous, but what has happened within the last few weeks is really not funny. So I have a few words that I'd like to present, and I had to pray so that I would keep my words within bounds. You know, I couldn't help it. I had to ask for some control. Some of you have asked, well, why have you not been at some of the congressman's town hall meetings? And I said, because I don't want to get arrested. Because I would not take a lot of the stuff that he has put up with. And everything he has done has been for the benefit of this community, and he does not deserve it. Let me give you a little bit about my background. Because without that, what I'm about to say may not make too much sense. It may not make any sense anyway. But I am from Houston, Texas. I was born in 1951. And I grew up in an era where Jim Crow was the law of the land. For those of you who don't understand what that is, segregation was the law. It was legal. And I can remember when I received new books at my school that had 3 or 4 names in it from some other school, but to my school they were new. I can remember some of the attitudes of the black teachers. The black teachers would keep us in line by saying, white kids, that's why white kids don't want to go to school with you, because you're unruly, because you're this, because you're that. So therefore they controlled us. And they were doing it for a reason, because we had to go out into a world that was not going to accept us. I remember the segregated water fountains and riding in the back of the bus and all of these things which were perhaps normal. But then as a result of that, I had the opportunity to form my attitudes about society and my politics. Now, keep in mind now, a child growing up through that probably had a lot of questions. One of the questions I had was, what is a liberal? Ladies and gentlemen, we have been so attacked for being liberal, we don't even use that term anymore. We're afraid. We start calling ourselves progressive. Progressive heck! We're liberal. Let me tell you, when I was growing up, what a liberal was. A liberal was a person who was tolerant, who was accommodating of other people's feelings and their issues, who were advocates of change in public education, in public housing, in employment. That was a liberal. rights workers who died were liberals. But we've let the media and the other folk determine what a liberal is, so therefore we shy away from being liberal. Now we're progressive. A conservative was one who wanted to maintain the status quo. The status quo was segregation. The status quo was unequal opportunity. That was the status quo. Then we had this concept called Republican. Well, keep in mind now, at one point in time, most black people were Republican because that was the party of Lincoln. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican Party is no longer the party of Lincoln. The Ku Klux Klan were all Democrats, so they switched. But just on the simple side, I'm a political science major, and this has nothing to do with the book. But the Democrats, I think my dad explained this to me. There's a pie, and the Democrats give most of the pie to the bottom so it'll go up because we got to buy stuff. And the Republicans will give most of the pie to the top and hope it trickles down. But because of greed and because of corruption and because of mismanagement, a lot of times it never trickled down. And the last definition was union. Union was supposed to be for the ordinary man, the worker, who only wanted a living wage, education for his kids, a safe environment to work in, and a seat at the table. I wasn't asking for much. Now, in my mind, it would appear to me that the definition of union and the definition of Democrat should go together. What do you think? Now keep in mind, a Republican, if they could, would abandon every union on the face of the earth. So how in the world did we get union people voting for the Republican Party? How did that happen? One thing that happened, the candidate was black. Or did you forget that? Because see, a lot of times we vote against our own personal interests. There is no way that a union should be supporting Republicans. I can understand we may have differences and all that kind of stuff, but if you think about it, if they would want to abolish you, why would you go in that direction? And trust me, if they had a chance, they would abolish you. When the economic crisis took place, when all these people were making millions and millions of dollars, the first people they wanted to give up benefits and money was to the union and blamed you for most of the crisis. I'm sorry. I apologize, Congressman. Okay. Now, unions and Democrats, as far as I'm concerned, are a perfect union. We believe in some of the same principles and ideas. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to all check ourselves. Unions are going to have to stop fighting unions. And Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to stop fighting each other. Okay? What is it that keeps us from getting